Hey guys, what's up? Uh, Let me know if you come in and this thing is buffering or anything. Try to wait, see if anybody comes in here for a couple of seconds. Hope all y'all are doing well. Just got done watching Kingdom of Truth live feed, and man, that thing was powerful, powerful, powerful. If y'all aren't subscribed to his channel yet, highly recommend that you go over to his channel and subscribe to him. Um, got the kids laid down and put to bed, and figured I would come on and share my testimony with you guys. I hope it blesses you. I just want to try to be as transparent as possible with you guys and let you know kind of um, where I got started from to where I am now, like my back roots, my old past life, so to speak. Um, so if this thing is buffering or whatever, let me know. If it's coming in loud and clear, let me know that it's coming in loud and clear. Before I get into this, I don't want to waste a lot of time doing this video and it's not coming out good. But let me see here. Okay. Oh, good. What's up, Hammer? So let's see. Get started. I'll try not to make this take extremely long, but growing up, I had a pretty difficult childhood. I was sexually molested by a family member, and I was sexually molested by two different babysitters' sons. Um, this caused a little confusion. This is where the enemy crept in and immediately put fear into my life. Um, my parents got divorced. Let's see, when I was around 10. During that time, things were very chaotic. My mom almost died in the hospital from, anxiety attacks and not eating because of the divorce. My dad ended up marrying the woman that he messed around on my mom with, which she's now my stepmom, and they're currently still married. Uh, my mom actually dated, whether knowingly or unknowingly, I don't know, but dated my stepmom's ex-husband. So my stepmom and her husband split, and she went with my dad, and then my mom started dating her ex-husband, and this guy was like a real, like, you know, just mullet wearing crazy man. He was addicted to drugs and all that good stuff. And so I took the brunt of a lot of things growing up. My brother didn't get punished for things so much. I would get punished for things, even if he did them. So I would lash out a lot. I got really into like Marilyn Manson, Dying Fetus, Cannibal Corpse, Dimmu Borgir, and got into cutting. Cutting was a way I felt like I could release a lot of hate, a lot of tension that I had. And then I got into drugs. Started drinking around the age of 12. Started smoking pot around the same time. Smoked pot real heavy all through my teenage years. Was stealing stuff from stores, hanging around all the wrong people because I didn't feel accepted. I didn't feel accepted by my family. I didn't feel love from my family. So even though it was the wrong type of love, I got love from these people that I hung around, and I would do things even in my heart, like while I was doing them. I knew that they were wrong and I felt instantly bad for doing them, but I would do it just to gain acceptance and love from these people so I could feel like I fit in somewhere. I knew from an early age, like, that something was off with this world. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I knew it didn't feel right. I felt like I did not belong. um yeah, carnal instinct, you're right. And you know I'll go back, and a lot of people have said I'm crazy for this, but there was actually a time when the archons, which we call ETs or aliens, abducted my mom and my brother and tried to abduct me. What's up, Kingdom? Um, and I remember it so vividly. I thought it was a dream, at first, but I remember waking up, and I was probably around 10, and we lived in Madison Heights, and I saw these three beings in the room, and they were, just like we're told that they, are portrayed that they are, big black eyes, and this typical small grays is what the truther world will call them. And I threw the covers over me, and tried to hide myself, and they pulled the covers back, and I was fighting them, and then they scratched me here on my right shoulder. They only had three fingers, and I had three scratch marks right there. Anyway, I remember them taking me outside, and they were asking me to come onto the ship. I told them I was not coming. I was not coming, and I saw them load my mom and my brother up on the ship. And then the next thing I remember, I woke up. So I woke up, went to use the bathroom. I look in the mirror, and I see these three scratch marks, and there was something embedded underneath my skin right there. And I kind of scratched it out and looked at it, and it was small, like look almost like just a small piece of metal. And I remember throwing it in the toilet and flushing it. I wish I'd have kept it now, but I didn't know. So that was kind of like the first experience of like, was this real? Was it a dream? This is crazy. Uh, Anyway, so fast forward back to my teenage years. Drugs super heavy, man. I did a lot of LSD growing up, and I love that because it gave me the feeling that I could escape this reality. Like I said, without putting my finger on it, I knew this reality was false. I knew there was something weird about this reality. Excuse me. So I would go to psychedelics, and my first trip, I did 5 hits of acid. And if any of y'all know anything about LSD, I mean, that's a hefty dose for your first time. Most people eat like a half a hit or 1 hit. I took 5 hits, and the most I've ever done was 13. So, and I've done enough acid to probably be, uh, what they would consider legally insane or something. But the Father has kept me good through all of it. And but I loved it. I would trip so much, man, and people would be bugging out. I'd see people take like a half a hit, and they just would lose their junk, and I would be fine, man. I'd watch horror movies, and go outside and watch the grass turn into freaking ogres and have big battles and everything, and I loved it. Loved it. So around 18, 19 years of age, was getting into a lot of trouble, not legally, um, and hanging around some really really bad people. Um, I had remember taking a nap in the trailer that I lived in with these guys, and they thought that I had stole a CD. This shows you how crazy these people were. They thought I stole a CD from them. So I remember going to bed, and I had locked the door, and because it was just a habit of mine, locking the door when I go to bed, that sense of security that I needed. I came to, and they had one of my hands handcuffed, and these are, two of them are real big dudes, man. And I'm 6'1", 195 pounds. I weighed 123 pounds when I went into the army in 2003 at 19 years old. Um, so these guys came in there, they handcuffed one of my hands. I came to and thought they were joking or playing around or something, and I'm like, hey, what's up, what's up? And the little dude kicked me in my head. My head bounced off the wall. A nail went in the back of my head. And I looked at him and was just like, what's going on? Like, what's up, dude? And he took and kicked me again. The other guy pulled a big knife out and just stuck it right to my throat and said, put your hands behind your back. And I'm saying it a lot nicer than what he said. So I put my hands behind my back. They handcuffed me, and this dude was gonna kill me, man. Like, I have seen him rough people up for less than a CD. And at this time, I have no idea what's going on. I was dating a girl named Kirby. Yes, like Kirby's Dreamland. I used to make fun of her all the time and call her Furby, but she was a gorgeous redheaded girl. And I do have a little thing for redheads. Love redheads, but man, they are some. phew. Anyway, so her and her friend, me and Kirby, had been broke up for months, and I have no idea how they knew where I lived. But at that exact moment when he had put that knife to my chest, man, and I was like, "This is it. This is how I'm gonna die." Her and her friend walked by the bedroom window and came and knocked on the door, and then he told the other two guys to go talk to him. I got out of that situation. Still didn't leave the people. I came back. We got into another instance scenario, and some things went down. Guns got pulled, and I thought I was going to die then. And I got out of that situation, and I just kind of looked at myself in the mirror and was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm a high school dropout, got my GED, school bored the snot out of me. I can say that's one thing, is I did not pay attention in school too much because it bored me, so I wasn't that indoctrinated by the system. Still didn't know the truth. You didn't read my Bible ever. Didn't talk with the Father. Didn't even know the Father on the relationship like I know him now. And so I took and joined the army. I was like, I'll go in the army, man. I'll get away from all this. I'll go in the army. Quit doing drugs, quit doing cocaine. That's why I weighed 123 pounds at 6'1". I was skin and bones, man. Went into the army, went to basic at Fort Benning, Georgia on Sand Hill. So I know my brother Hammer knows all about Fort Benning and how great that place is. Um, so went to Fort Benning there. I wasn't infantry, but I requested Fort Benning because I was like, if I'm going to do this, then what's the hardest basic training y'all have to offer? And they said, we got Fort Benning, Georgia. That's the hardest. I said, that's the one I want. They said, but you're not infantry. And I said, I don't care. I said, if I'm going to do it, I want the hardest. And the only reason I didn't go infantry was because it didn't leave when I wanted it to leave. Like, I went to go see the recruiter, but I wanted to leave like yesterday. And so they were like, well, we have a 52 Delta, which is a power generator equipment repair. You'll work in the motor pool. It has a $7,000 sign-on bonus, and it leaves in 3 days. And I was like, sign me up. Let's do it. If I'm going to go, let's go before I change my mind. So I get in to there, go up to Aberdeen Proving Grounds, do my AIT. That's when I started drinking. Not as heavy as when I got back from Iraq, but that's when I started drinking. Couldn't do drugs. I didn't want to do drugs because that would mess with my money. So I said, I'll drink. So we'd go down to Baltimore Avenue and go to a strip club called Chesy Joey's every weekend. And we'd get hammered, man, because they didn't card. And we'd get plastered and then come back on post. I ended up going AWOL and AIT because the doctors had misdiagnosed my mom and told her she was going to die of cancer and didn't have very long. My mom called me. I went to my company commander. Long story short, asked her if she would let me go. They said no. I went in. I went anyway. I dipped out anyway because I was like, look, I got to see my mom, man. If she's gonna die, like I couldn't live with myself if she died while I'm in AIT, and just because y'all won't let me go. So I went, was gone 2 days, came back exactly when I told them I was gonna come back. Nothing ended up happening to me. I got no recourse for that. All they did was cycle me down 1 week to another Drill Sergeant Kelly, which actually was a blessing because the I had Drill Sergeant Hinkle, and this dude was a hard nose, man. Like it was stupid, insanely. But you get that hoorah blood up in you, man, and you get that rank on you, and he probably was given that rank pretty new, and so he was like, man, I'm gonna make these guys' life miserable. But Drill Sergeant Kelly, he was getting ready to retire. We were his last class, and he was retiring, so he eased up on us. So went through that whole experience. Everybody in my AIT class went to South Korea except for 3 people, and I was one of those. And I went to Fairbanks, Alaska, to Fort Wainwright. Got stationed with the 4th and 123rd Aviation Unit. We were a Black Hawk unit and a Chinook unit. Um, that's drinking, of course. Living in the barracks life. If you know anything about the Army, man, I drank. I mean, I drank, and perfected drinking. And our unit had not deployed for like 60 some years, and so we got called up to go pull support for the 1st Stryker Brigade in Balad, Iraq. So we did our training, went down to Fort Polk, Louisiana, did all that stuff, came back up, and we deployed with them. Before then, I wanted to go to Special Forces selection. So I did a lot of training on my own for that, water training mainly, because that was the main thing I was worried about was water training. And my wife at the time, which was Kirby, we got married, and she came up to Alaska with me. She was like, "Look, if you go Special Forces, I'm leaving you. I'm not gonna stay with you." And I didn't for her. Hindsight, I wish I'd have done it anyway, but the Father knew it was best for me. So I didn't go, and I held regrets for that for a long time, and I'll get to where I process those regrets here shortly. But I held regrets for that for a long time because I wanted to do fun stuff. Like I wanted to be part of that 0.01% of the world that gets to do stuff that no one else gets to do, no one else gets to see. Just I wanted to do it. I had a lot of special forces buddies, a lot of I'm sorry, Ranger buddies that I hung out with, and I wanted that, and I regret not doing it. So anyway, we go to Iraq. That was crappy. OIF2, man. Just the bombings, and the rockets, the mortars, the sniper fire. You know, we're taking fire on compound. I'm not even gonna lie. They would not even let us leave compound if we weren't mission essential. As far as if we're not with the Blackhawks and we're going to do high value target recoveries and everything. So I tried everything I could do to get to be a door gunner, so that I could go out there and feel like I was actually doing something. Like in my mindset then is I wanted to kill these people. Like I didn't even know these guys. I mean, like they really didn't do anything to me. I had no idea at the moment because I was just so indoctrinated by the system. That cloud of darkness was over me so much that I had no idea that 9/11 was an inside job and all this other stuff. So I had hate in my heart towards these guys. I wanted them dead, and they were killing my brothers and sisters over there. You know, I wanted them dead, man, and I wanted to go do that. So, but they wouldn't let me, and I tried everything in my power to go do it. I'm thankful now that I did not have to go, that I didn't have to kill anybody, but I came close, man. There was a couple situations where I almost had to kill a kid. um, we were briefed before we went up there that if we saw any kids in the road playing, because the Al Qaeda would use kids as roadblocks, and we would stop, and then they would ambush from the top of the buildings down on convoys. That when we're convoying up there, if there's any kids in the road and they don't get out of the way, that we're not to stop, we're to run them over. So I was like preparing myself mentally for this, but at the same time praying to a God that I had not yet given myself to. uh Please don't have us killing, I hope this doesn't happen. I hope we do not have to kill any kids and run them over and everything. So go through the whole year long deployment on that. I find out while I'm deployed the whole time that my wife is cheating on me with like everybody and their brother. After I had went home on my 2 week R&R, and I dropped like 6 grand on her. One of the guys that did a bunch of work to her car while I was there was one of the dudes that was having sex with her, and he knew it, and he knew who I was. And so like I come back after all this, and I'm like, losing my mind, but keeping my stuff together. They give us like at the time, since that base hadn't had anyone deploy from it, all we got was the questionnaire. It's not like, the 82nd Airborne or something. You come back and they actually put you through a mental health facility and all that kind of stuff to check you out. We filled out a questionnaire. Do you feel like beating your wife? Do you feel like killing your dog? Blah, blah, blah. And of course, we're going to answer no, because if we answer yes to any of this, well, then we're going to have to talk to a bunch of people. We were pretty much told to answer no to everything. So I just get back and I drink, man, and that's when the drinking got real bad. Like, I had probably $400 or $500 worth of bills and lived in the barracks, and I spent the rest of my paycheck on alcohol, and I lived off ramen noodles, and Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, Henry McKinney, and Bud Light. Um, so real confused. I started like rapping then. I always liked rap, so I was good at it. I had joined with another guy up there, and this just shows you where I was at mentally then. And the name of our rap group were Dark Lords, and we made rap music that was like called acid rap. You know, we made rap music about killing people in crazy ways and all this others. I mean, it was really demonic, and but I was good at it, and you know, it gave me recognition. It made me feel good. It fed my ego. It made me feel good about myself. I could go into an all black club, man, and be the only white dude in there, and I would get mad respect from the people that were in there because of the music I put out and because of my talent of rapping. But inside this whole time while this is going on, I knew something was wrong. I still didn't feel complete. I didn't feel whole. I didn't feel right. I'm having sex with just every girl I can see. I mean, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've had sex with a lot of girls, well over 100 girls. A lot. I mean, I was just trying to find happiness in any and every avenue that I could find happiness in, whether it be sex or drugs or alcohol, what have you. So it comes time in '07 for me to get out. So I get out of the military, I come back home, get into a relationship with my oldest son's mother, have a baby, going through all these problems. I come in contact with a guy named Preston Horton. I start asking him all these questions about the Bible. And he's like, well, you know, this thing at home that you have, it's got a front cover and a back cover and a bunch of pages in the middle. It's called the Bible. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, you should read it some. So this got me into like Pentecostal, you know, kind of Baptist Pentecostal mix, is what he was. And that was my introduction to God of the Bible. So I say the little sinner's prayer in the basement of his house, and you know, felt a little something and was like, all right, cool. So I start getting in scriptures and I'm studying, I'm looking in, I'm just devouring. And I'm like, you know, I want to do something. I need to do something. So I become a youth pastor. So I'm teaching the youth. I'm seeing these things in the Bible that, you know, don't make sense to me. And the pastor's telling me I can't baptize my youth. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm also still doing smoking pot. I'm drinking heavily. Started suffering from severe anxiety attacks in 2009. They throw me on 4 milligrams of Klonopin, and I think it was 50 or 80 milligrams of Paxil, and I'm still drinking. I don't stop drinking, even on that high dosage of Klonopin, which I should have died from because I was hooked on Klonopin for 8 years, and I'm drinking. I'm talking about massive. I'm sure Hammer knows exactly what I'm talking about, and any military personnel that's came back from combat and has had a drinking issue, it's bad. um, can't express. The best way I put it is I went and taught some youth one time in a youth prison, and I said, "Let me tell you how much I love to drink." I said, "You love to breathe, right? Like you don't just love to breathe, but you have to breathe, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, that's how much I love to drink. Like I have to drink." Um, the VA is crap to us veterans, man. I mean, some people have good experiences with them, but for the most part, and I've talked with veterans all over this country, they're crap. They treat us like crap. And you practically have to lose your mind or hurt somebody for them to take you serious. So they were giving me like substandard care, just trying to dope me up with pills and everything. I'm losing my mind. I'm in the scriptures. I want the truth. I get into Universal pastor who was my youth pastor when I was little, and you know he's making me feel good. I mean, I'm understanding scriptures, but I don't have that wisdom that the not uh, uh, the kingdom of truth talks about, that wisdom. I didn't have the wisdom. I just had knowledge of scripture, but I didn't have wisdom. And so I'm seeing a lot of contradictions. My pastor would always come to me and say, look, you're my right hand man, dude. And he would message me all throughout the day. Hey, what do you think about this? What is this scripture saying? What does this scripture mean to you? So looking back now, I've always had like the gift of knowledge of being able to understand. The enemy had messed with my perception so much The enemy, I know, and that's so sad, Hammer, man. I was like, man, that hurts my heart, dude. But the enemy had messed with my perception so much that I was applying the scriptures in a totally wrong way. I was applying the scriptures to give the God of this world the glory and honor and not the Father. And I felt good about it because I didn't know any better. So, towards the end of the universalism, I had remarried again to my second wife. And I've had relationships then, had another baby then. I got two kids. I'm trying to skip over some of this just to kind of get to the good stuff. And so I had gotten remarried again. I was a drunk and I was stayed high 24 hours a day. And you know, if I was awake, I was high and drunk. And I remember going into the basement of the house that night, and I had an evening ritual where I would get off work, come home, I would slam three tall boys like super quick, and I would smoke probably at least three or four bowls before I could even talk to anybody. And I didn't. I come home and I go into the basement and I open up the door and it's raining outside. It's of course cloudy because it's raining. And I was just like, look, I got down on my knees and I'm like, listen, Father, I was like, I need to know the truth. I was like, because I'm seeing so many contradictions to this theology of universalism. I'm having to shun away and not look at so many passages in the scripture because it doesn't prove universalism in order to make me believe this. And the whole reason I did universalism was to make me feel like I was all right with God and I could continue living a lifestyle like that. Which, that's not okay. It's not okay to just have sex all the time with all these different girls. It's not okay to stay drunk all the time. And I'm saying if you're there and you're at that point, just keep seeking the Father. I'm not going to say that you aren't loved by the Father, because you are loved by the Father. You are valuable. You are important. That's why Christ came into this world, was to save the wretches like me and you. Those of us that are at our lowest point in life. I thought about suicide every second of the day. I wanted to take my life. I did not want to live anymore. I was like, if this is it, if this is all that life has to offer me, I don't want it. I don't want this, because this isn't even existing. Like, there's living and then there's existing and then there's what I was, you know, and I didn't want it. So I'm down on my knees. I'm talking with the Father. I'm telling him, I need to know the truth, man. I'm willing to do whatever you want me to do. I'm willing to go wherever you want me to go to obtain this truth. But I need to know the truth, and I need to know it from you and no one else. I'm hearing all these men talk, man, and they're just telling me the same stuff, and I'm asking questions and they can't answer them. I need to know the truth. Tell me your truth. Come into me, live in me. And I'm telling you right now, guys, I literally started shaking like this. I started shaking uncontrollably, and I'm like, what is going on? And I felt an energy source come into my right side, and I felt it flow in me. And when I felt it come in, I felt something else leave. And I'm just like, what is this? It just felt like electricity, man. Like, I was just like, what is going on? And I just start bawling like a baby. And I'm hard nosed, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't cry. I just did not cry. And my wife at the time, she had never seen me cry, and so she comes home and is coming down the stairs when this is happening. And sorry, let me back up for a minute. I left out a little point. So when I'm shaking, I stand up, and I was like, my prayer right before then too is Father, how come I read things in Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Daniel and all this, that you would like show people into the heavens, into the spiritual realm. I was like, rent the heavens for me, allow me to see. And so then I have the whole shaking experience. Energy comes in my body. I stand up and I look up at the clouds and the rain stopped. The clouds opened up and I could see all like these orbs of light everywhere, like just up in the sky. Like, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I just start bawling. I'm bawling. I'm crying. And my wife at the time comes down the steps and she sees me and she's like, what is going on? And I'm like, it's beautiful. And she's like, what? And I'm like, there are these orbs of light everywhere. And I'm sure at that point she was like, this dude has lost his mind. Um, so I just crawled on the bed and she came over and held me and I cried for like 45 minutes. Like, I'm just talking about a snot cry. And I was like, all I could say was, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's the only words that could come out of my mouth was I'm sorry, because I knew at that point that I had been leading people astray, that I had been telling people a lie. And at the same time this is going on, if this makes sense, it was almost like somebody had a flash drive, like the father had taken a flash drive and just plugged it into my head and like downloaded a bunch of information. And I couldn't sort that information at the moment, but I just knew that I had like all this wisdom that I didn't have before. And so after my snot cry and everything, like the father just started saying, okay, I've given you all things now. Now I'm going to start uncovering all those things and helping you understand them. And this is where scripture says, you know, I'll never give you more than you can handle. This is what I understood, because even though I had the mind of Christ, I had wisdom. I now had to understand that wisdom. I now had to understand the mind of Christ trapped in this flesh. I knew I was trapped. I knew that all this information existed in me. All things existed in me. I knew it, but I had to understand it. So the Father takes me and has had me on a journey since May of 2017 of uncovering all of this. And it led me into a lot of rabbit holes, you know, getting to where I'm at. A lot of truths, you know, just all kinds into the conspiracy realm, and all this stuff, leading me down to gain understanding of what he had already put in me. And I had gotten wrapped up into the conspiracies and, you know, flat earth, not flat earth, all this other stuff, you know, CERN, the Jesuits, the Black Pope, deep underground military bases, the reptilians, all this. I mean, you name it, I've researched it and I've been in it. Um, and then I remember, oh, and the real awesome thing was, is I had tried to get off Klonopin for 8 years, like I said. And, oh, wow, hammer. Um, like I said, whew, sorry, I lost my train. I've been trying to get off Klonopin for so many years and I couldn't. I could not let it, I could not put it down. But that night in May of 2017, when I felt that energy transference, I put down the Klonopin, I put down alcohol, I put down marijuana. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I didn't touch it anymore. I'll be honest and tell you that the Father had freed me from that bondage. But I, the flesh, this part of me that you see, still wanted to kind of go back to that. So I had a couple of little episodes to where I would, you know, try to smoke like I did before or try to drink like I did before, but I couldn't. Like, it literally made me sick. Um, it was just like I knew it was wrong. And the Father told me, he said, I need you to be sober. I need you to be sober for what I'm going to do with you, what I'm going to do through you. I need you to be sober. And I was like, okay. Because, like I said, this was a lot of information that he had given me. And it's not that I'm more special than any of y'all, because, like Kingdom says, and Derek says, we all are parts of the body. You know, how dare my thumb tell my pinky that it's not doing its job when my thumb has no idea what the pinky's doing, right? My pinky performs its task. This finger, the ring finger, performs its task. Middle finger, pointer finger, elbow, everything. It all performs its task, but it's only when it comes together in unity as one that it becomes a body, that it works like it was created to be. And that's what I had to learn how to do, is work in my area. If I'm a thumb, I had to learn to be a thumb when the world was telling me I'm a foot. I'm a big toe on a foot, or I'm a sphincter muscle. You know what I'm saying? So um the father has just been unraveling all this, and it's been beautiful. He's led me to come back, during this time when he woke me up. I thought I was losing my mind, guys. I'm not lying to you. I thought I was losing my mind. I went to Tennessee for a little bit. My ex-wife left me 3 times down there, and she would get real upset because I wouldn't argue with her anymore. Like, I would not yell, I would not fuss, I would not fight. I've told her, I said, listen, we're two adults. If we can't sit down and talk about something like two adults, then I don't want to talk about it. We need to come back to it. She didn't like that. She wanted me to cuss at her and throw things, and I just wouldn't do it. She didn't like that I didn't drink anymore. She didn't like me because I didn't smoke anymore. She actually begged me to start drinking and smoking pot again because that's who she fell in love with. She didn't like this new person at all. I started coming up against a lot of opposition from my family, and people that were like friends for years from me, man. They were putting me down, saying I'm crazy and all this other stuff because I started sharing real truth instead of lies. And so I'm like, listen, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I got no one around me, no other people that are speaking the things that I'm hearing the Father tell me. Nobody was. And so I was like, look, my buddy's got a place in Colorado in Pagosa Springs, and he grows marijuana up there. I said, look, I'm going to go out to his place. I'm going to help him harvest this year, and I'm going to figure out I went out there to figure out, what am I going to do? Am I going to blow my head off? Am I going to commit suicide and end this? Or am I going to trust the Father? And am I going to come back to a shit storm of stuff that I had to deal with back here in Lynchburg, Virginia? Because I'm sure you can imagine, Hammer, and anyone else who knows military and people, that I was suffering from PTSD big time. I had left a wake of destruction in my path. I destroyed everything that came into existence. If you were around me, I'm going to destroy you to make myself feel better. And that's how I operated before May of 2017. So I went up to that mountain. I lived in a shed on top of a mountain in Pagosa Springs. I literally lived in a shed. We had no running water. The only electricity was either solar panel or a generator. We had an outhouse we could use as a bathroom. And I went up to that mountain to figure some things out. And my buddy wanted me to stay on that mountain and live with him and just run away from my problems and not face them. But I was like, no, that's not the right thing to do, man. I was like, oh, cool. I just noticed, Kingdom of Truth, that since I'm a moderator on your channel, you're a moderator on my channel because it's got the wrench beside your name. So sweet. So I kind of did my time in the wilderness, and figured out what I was going to do. Um, and I came back to Lynchburg, Virginia. Came back to a lot of things. My youngest son's mother was trying to take custody from me altogether. She didn't want me to have anything to do with my youngest son. I owed back child support, $6,000 to her. I owed, and still owe, over $14,000 on my oldest son, because all my money went to alcohol and marijuana to help me live in this death. And so I came back, and I faced everything. She didn't get sole legal custody of my youngest son. We got the child support stuff squared away, started paying child support again, started getting my kids like I'm supposed to. I don't have a lot, but I don't need a lot, nor do I want a lot. I was homeless. Now got an apartment, only a little 1-bedroom apartment, but it's okay. And honestly, I don't even want this. I really want, and I'm hoping with my back pay that I get from me being 100% disabled through the VA to get me a newer, like a newer model Duramax than the truck I have now, and a camper. And I want to live out the camper and just go wherever the Father wants me to go. I love my kids to death, man. And, but I do know that the mission that the Father has me on is more important than anything. And I'm not saying my kids aren't important, but blessed are those that have to leave their father and their mother or their wives or their kids, man, for the kingdom's sake, you know. And if I have to do that and everybody thinks that I'm crazy or insane or I've lost my mind because of it, then they're only proving the words of Christ true to me, because I know truth now. I know it. And I have been able to get rid of things and put things down, and and my whole life has been changed because of what the Father did to me last May. I mean, May of 2017. I no longer get as angry as I used to. Now I still will have some moments, but the difference is I take those thoughts captive now, and I'm like, calm down, Brandon. Where before I was like gasoline on a fire, man. I would just bow, you know, and bust off and try to hurt you bad. But now I don't want to. I have love for those that have hurt me. I have prayed blessings over my youngest son's mother, who tried to she was trying to take my son away from me. And I would just pray, Father, man, I just pray that you bless her. Pray that you bless her, you know. And I would speak that she's a good woman, even if I didn't think it, right? Because I know my thoughts can be deceiving. That's why Christ said we have to take every thought captive that comes into our head. We take that thought, we process that thought. Is this a thought that would come from the Father, or is this a thought that would come from the flesh? And we have to process that. Everybody does. I don't care if you've been walking with the Father. I don't care if you're Derek Bros. I don't care if you're Kingdom Truth. I don't care who you are. You have to take your thoughts captive, because the enemy will get you to try to stumble and think evil thoughts and think ill things about people. And then sooner or later, that thought is going to give birth, just like this creation came into existence. That thought is going to give birth to something physical. So if I'm harboring all this hatred, if I'm harboring evil thoughts, if I'm harboring hateful things in my brain, it's going to produce fruit. So that I can either cut that fruit off. I can either, like Christ spoke to that tree, which really wasn't a tree, but I can speak to that tree producing bad fruit in my mind and cut it off and let it have no life. If I don't have fear in me, if I don't have hatred, if I don't think evil things or bad things, and have nothing but love in my mind and in my heart for my neighbor and for my brother, no matter what they do to me, then the enemy loses power. I'm no longer allowing him to feed off of me. You see? And I would still get attacks, because don't think that the enemy doesn't know the second that he doesn't have a hold on you anymore. See, he's not worried about you as long as you're giving him the fuel that he needs to survive. But as soon as he can go to that gas pump and he no longer can get fuel out of that gas pump, oh, trust me, he knows. And he's going to work to try to get fuel out of that gas pump. You see what I'm saying? And he's worked on me. But this is where my faith in the Father, and I now see the fruits of the tree that's living in me. I can see the fruits of the Father coming out in me, and how I deal with others, and how I deal with situations, and how I speak good things on the people, and I love them, even though they might not deserve to be loved. Even though the world says, man, you should hate that person. You should take them to court. You should sue the crap out of them. You should do this. You should go beat their tail. But I don't. I choose to just love them anyway, because I know that they're ignorant of who they are, just like I was. Who am I to judge anybody except myself? I don't have the right to judge anyone but myself, because I don't know their situation. I don't know the circumstances that led them to where they're at. But I do know how I can point them in a direction that'll set them free. I do know who Christ is, who the Father is, and where they dwell and live. I do know how to explain this duality, this binary system to them, you know? So, like flat earth, for instance. Who cares? Who cares if the earth is flat or round or inside out or upside down? Who cares? But understanding the flat earth community and everything has allowed me to be able to talk to people and use that as a way to be able to start a conversation and kind of gain their respect. So a person that is a flat earther, I can talk to them and say, yeah, 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 blah, blah, blah. And then I can get in and then I can explain the matrix to them. And they're like, wow. And they hear the truths that I speak and it resonates inside of them. And they're like, man, this dude is wise, man. And I'm like, it ain't nothing for me. I'm just a dummy. I got no college degree. I'm a high school dropout. The information that I'm going to be dropping through this channel, you're going to see that. I mean, it's no way I could have this information if it wasn't for the Father, you know. And it's not like I'm reading books. Look, I got the Nag Hammadi scriptures my dad gave me and everything else. I don't read the Bible to gain knowledge. I read the Bible to confirm what the Father has already put in me. May of 2017. I read the Nag Hammadi scriptures to confirm what the Father has already told me is true about this reality. I made a statement today to my mom. I said, you know what? I can't wait till this body dies. I can't wait till this flesh dies. I know I'm here for a purpose, for a reason, and I will fulfill the mission that the Father has for me while I'm here. But man, I cannot wait till this flesh dies. And my mom kind of looked at me and was like, yeah, I know you said that. And I know in her mind, she's probably like, oh my gosh, is he going to commit suicide? And she's worried, but she doesn't know what I'm saying. She doesn't know what's coming out of my mouth. She doesn't know where I'm speaking. I've already died to this flesh. All I'm doing is waiting on this flesh to die, and I'm doing the mission in between that time that the Father tells me and He gives me so that I can go back to being spirit and I can live forever and have true life. Because this world is crap, dude. This world is crap. And if you think that this world is good, if you have it that great and you just have everything you want, you're lying. You're lying to yourself, because I know super rich people that can buy anything they want in this world and they are unhappy. Yeah. You know what, Hammer? I had that same worry. But this is what the Father spoke to me that kind of helped settle it in me. My oldest son is 10. My youngest son is 4. And I had that worry, you know, okay, the Father, you call me out here to do a mission, but what if something bad happens? You know, what if an asteroid hits? What if a big flood happens and I'm not here to protect? What if somebody, you know, comes to harm my kids? He just told me to pray for their safety and He'll keep them safe. And he said, but what if something does happen to them? So what? They know the kingdom better than you do. And I'm like, what? I was like, they're only 10 and 4. And he said, they know the kingdom better than you do. And I was like, oh man. And this blew my mind the other day. But I'm talking with my oldest son, and I was like, you know, there are many gods that are in this realm that you know created. The God that created this world isn't the real God. And he was like, so the real Father is like the Father of all fathers. And I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty daggone wise statement to come out of a 10-year-old's mouth. I was like, yes. I was like, the Father is the Father of all fathers. Because Yeldabaoth and them, they birthed creation. I'm a father, right? I've helped create 2 human beings, but I'm not the Father. Yeldabaoth is not the Father. Jehovah's not the Father. Elohim is not the Father. All these fallen angels that we read about and the different names in the Nag Hammadi texts and their different functions in creating this body, they're not the Father. They might be a father, but they're not the Father. But then I told him tonight when we were talking before we went to bed, I said, there's only one Father. We don't call anybody Father. I said, you don't even call me Father. I said, I'm your dad here. I was like, but I'm not your father. I was like, there's only one Father. and he's above all things. I said, so when you pray and you talk to him, you call him Father. And he understood exactly what I was saying. And I'm just like, man, how did they get this stuff? Because Jesus said that we have to become little children. If we want to understand the truth of the kingdom, if we want to enter into the kingdom, we have to become like little children. Why do we have to become like little children? Because they're innocent. They're not corrupted by this world. They create in their minds all the time, everything, their whole surroundings. I mean, my son's sitting there playing with Legos, and he's created a whole city in his mind and battling it out, man, with his Hulk and Abomination characters, and he's just playing it out, creating his whole world inside of his mind. He knows the kingdom better than I do, and he's a kid. They'll be protected, man. But at the same token, so what if something does happen to them? I know where they're going to go, right? But because of me, think of it like this. There's a starfish, right? You can cut off a piece of a starfish and it'll grow a whole nother starfish. You can cut that starfish up into segments and it'll grow. You could cut it into 10 pieces and you'll grow 10 different starfish. So what if Yaldabaoth cut up a spirit, so to speak, the life force, and put it in people? Because I have been redeemed, my kids are redeemed. Why? Because they're a piece of me. My DNA is in my children. He cut up this piece of starfish and that produced two other starfish. If this isn't making sense, I hope it is. So he cut this starfish up into two pieces of starfish. So this is why it says that when one is saved, he can save the whole household in Scripture. The whole household is saved because that one got saved. So what if because of me coming unto the knowledge of the truth, not only did I save my children, but I saved my ancestors that didn't come to the truth because I share their DNA. Satan tried to cut up a starfish thinking it would kill it, and all he did was grow more starfish, and all it takes is one to make the whole thing become whole. I hope that came across and made some sense. So anyway, guys, like I hope that was good for y'all, my testimony. I mean, I could have made this go a lot longer and got down into all the nitty-gritty. Point being is I've had a really hard life. The enemy has really tried to destroy me, has really tried to keep me from the knowledge of the truth, but I always sought it out. I've always wanted to seek out the truth until I've gotten to where, like now, like I taught the kingdom, and I'm like, dude, I was like, I read stuff in the Nag Hammadi text, and it just confirms what I already know is truth inside me. And I'm just like, whoa, I'm blown away because it's confirming what I already know. Derek says stuff at Global Witness, and he's confirming things I already know is truth. And it's not that Kingdom's better than me, or I'm better than him, or Derek's better than me, or I'm better than Derek, or Kingdom is better than Derek. It's not, because we're all the body. Yes, some of us are going to know things that the others haven't, let's say, heard, but they know it in their spirit as truth. Oh, that's real. And that's why we hear it and we're like, bam, no explanation needed. I got it, dude. That is truth. And I love that. I love that because you can hear things about this world and it'll leave you like, I don't know, that doesn't sound quite right. That doesn't sound very truthful. I don't know. But you hear it in your spirit and you know it comes from the Father, and you're like instantly like, I don't even need to question that. That's truth. That's real. So I hope this has encouraged some of y'all guys that are going to watch this video that aren't chimed in. I just want to let you know I'm always going to be real with you. I'm going to be open. I have struggles daily, that I have to contend with. I have to battle the flesh always, and its desires of what it wants to do. And I made a comment tonight on the Kingdom's channel when he was giving his thing, that we have to deny the flesh until the tantrums stop. Because when we if the flesh wants sex at first, it's going to be like any kid that's used to getting his way. If the kid's always gotten a lollipop and always gotten candy, and then you say, okay, you find out candy's bad for him and no more candy. Well, the first maybe couple of weeks are going to be rough because that kid is going to throw a tantrum when you don't give it what it wants. And the flesh is no different. The flesh is going to throw a tantrum if I don't give it sex. But eventually the flesh is going to understand you don't get what you want. You'll get what I tell you you can get. Yeah, withdrawal, man. And they'll call it like, the world has put fancy little terms on it, post-acute withdrawal symptoms and all this other stuff, and I've had to deal with that coming off. My last medication that I got to come off of is Effexor. I was taking 150 milligrams of that. I lowered it by 50 milligrams when I went to Warriors Heart. Oh, that's where I was going to tell y'all. That's where I really got to process things. I went down to Warriors Heart in Bandera, Texas. If you're a veteran and you suffer from being post-traumatic stress disorder or substance abuse and just you need help processing things, reach out and contact Warriors Heart. They are a great group of people there. They taught me how to process. The father had done wonders in my life for PTSD. I wasn't addicted to alcohol or drugs when I went down there, and there was a whole nother purpose for me going down there when I went. I'm hoping to have this guy Steve Blackman on here, but the father used me to help bring a couple of guys to the Father, to know that, bring them to the truth, not just some stupid say a little prayer and you're good type thing. Nah, I'm talking about dropping knowledge on these guys, truth, and that was the purpose I was there for, was to help do that. And I'm thankful and feel so blessed that the Father allowed me to do that and be a part of that. But the place is a very, very good place. And I'm really happy I went there, and just kind of helped me have another time of getting away, which we all need to practice that and do that. There's nothing wrong with pulling away and getting away, turning off your cell phone, go out into the woods and go camping, even if it's for a weekend, and just pull away from everything, all the noise, all the chaos in the world, and just quiet, just sit and listen to the Father, because it's that still small voice. Moses was led by a pillar of fire, right, and a pillar of smoke. But Elijah, when the same thing happened to him, Elijah said, when he saw the pillar of fire, he said, that's not the Father, that's not him. Then he saw the pillar of smoke came to him. Elijah said, that's not the Father. Nah, he doesn't act that way, he wouldn't do that. And then Elijah heard a still small voice, and Elijah said, whoa, that's the Dad. That's the Father. That still small voice, that's him. He's not loud and obnoxious like that. He's not going to come down on the top of a mountain and all this big fire, cloud, and smoke and look at me, I'm God, and all this. Nah, he doesn't work like that. So we have to learn to separate ourselves. Listen to that still small voice. Listen to the Father. Sorry. Learn to hear him. Okay? Learn to hear him. I'm here for you guys. I love you guys. That's why I do these videos. That's why I'm mocked and I'm ridiculed. That's why people think they still think I'm crazy. I still have people that say I'm crazy, man, and I don't know anything. I'm being led astray. I'm worshiping Satan and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, y'all have no clue, man. Like, y'all have no clue. But I love them anyway. I love them through it. I'm going to be patient with them. Sometimes you have to learn how to wipe the dust from your feet. You got to learn when you're dealing with swine, so you don't cast your pearls before swine. But that's all wisdom that comes from the Father. And I try to just be obedient to him on that. If he tells me, you need to leave this person alone, I leave that person alone. If he says I need to keep pouring into this person, I keep pouring into them, because one plants a seed, one waters, but we don't bring the increase. Only the Father can give the increase. He's it. I can't work your salvation out for you. I can only work out mine, but I can help you along the way on that journey. I can help lift you up or point you in the right direction. Or if I see you wandering to the left or to the right, can say, hey brother, man, let's get back on that narrow. You know what I'm saying? So I love you guys so much. Please, if you haven't already, check out Kingdom of Truth's channel. I'm working with that guy, and he is, you know, so much wisdom is in that guy. It's not even funny. Check out Global Witness. No matter what you hear about them, check out Global Witness. If you haven't done research on somebody yourself, how dare you judge them? How dare you judge them off someone else's words and what they say? You need to listen to them for yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself about a lot of stuff. And if you're not in it for if you're not in it for the truth, if you're not really seeking truth and you're in it to just battle, don't even check out their pages. Don't even check them out, man, because they're going to offend you. They're going to offend you. They're going to piss you off. If you're indoctrinated and you just want to be a bigot and you want to argue and you want to try to do a measuring contest to see whose little ding-a-ling is longer than the others, you're gonna lose. You got the little one. I'm sorry to put it blunt like that, but you got the little one. Cause these guys, these brothers are shedding truth, man. They are shedding truth, and we're on a mission, guys. Because you're seeing it right now. You're seeing the Spirit of Christ waking up. You are seeing the second coming of Christ, right? Don't be looking for him in the air. Christ said, if someone says, "There I am" or "Here I am," you do not believe them. Why? Because he's here, guys. He's here now, and he's waking his children up through the Spirit, through real wisdom, through real knowledge. Not none of this fake stuff that they're giving y'all out here in this world today, guys. They're feeding you nonsense to keep you enslaved, to keep you trapped. That's what the enemy wants. He wants you to keep coming back to this world. He wants you to keep being rebirthed back into this world so he can consume you. You are an energy source, just like in the movie The Matrix. Wake up like Neo and realize you've been used to be a battery. You are an energy source to the demonic. You are an energy source to the enemy and the ruler and the God of this world. Stop. Wake up. Let the scales fall from your eyes. I pray that in the name of the Father. I ask that the scales be fall from everyone's eyes that watch this video. I ask that, Father, please, realize who lives in you. Realize that Christ is in you. The kingdom is within you. Everybody was looking outside in the Bible. Everybody was looking outside for the kingdom. Jesus says, why are you looking around everywhere? It's not there. The kingdom is inside of you. You have the power of salvation in you. You have the power to see into the spiritual world right now inside of you. So just wake up. Realize who you are. Don't look in that mirror and then walk away and forget who you are. Look at that mirror and realize who you are. And do not forget it. So when trial and tribulation and temptation come your way, you know where that's coming from. And you can withstand it. I love you guys, man. I've been on here for a good minute now, about an hour, so I'm going to get off. But I love you, man. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. Please feel free to email me and talk to me. I'm here for you, guys, and you're here for me. Iron sharpens iron. You bring a certain aspect and things to the table that I can't. And I learn from you just as much as you might learn from me. So, the next videos I put out are going to be getting deep. We're going to get deep, but I had to do my testimony video because I told y'all I would, and I wanted to start this thing off right. So I love you guys so much. Y'all are great. Be blessed, guys. Be blessed, all right? I love you.